welcome back to another episode of the Wednesday Icon Talk. Today we're going to be interviewing one of my mentors, Dr. Dean, His Excellency Michael V. Roberts. And I'm joined with my partner, Chancellor, the Right Honorable Her Excellency Dr. Diane Moore-Eubanks. Can you please take us away?
It is my pleasure. Look here, I didn't even sleep last night, Dr. Roberts, knowing that I was going to get to speak to you. I'm just so excited. Guys, you're in for a thrill, a delight. This is our first dean here at Global Over Day Seminary and University. And so I am just so happy. And this is His Excellency, Dean Dr. Michael V. Roberts, Juris Doctor. He's a lawyer. He's also the chairman and CEO of the Roberts Company. Michael V. Roberts is a classic American entrepreneur, born to middle-class, hardworking parents, educated in the St. Louis public school system. He worked his way through college. He worked his way through law school to become one of St. Louis' leading businessmen. Throughout his rise in business, Dr. Roberts maintained a strong commitment to the African-American community from which he came, locating his headquarters in the heart of the community. His endeavors over the last 40 years, I know he doesn't look it, look how handsome he is. I know he doesn't look it, but it's been 40 years of creating thousands of jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities, birthing colleges and universities such as GODSU. He has raised the level of economic activity and enhanced the quality of life for African-American communities, as well as Caribbean communities, as well as communities on the African continent. Dr. Roberts' broad range of professional knowledge and experience, developed as both a business owner as well as a public official, St. Louis Board of Aldermen 1977 to 85, encompasses the application of innovative financing strategies for large public projects, public-private sector development, negotiation strategies, as well as successful management techniques for urban commercial properties. His leadership in the creation of innovative strategies for financing of redevelopment projects propelled the city into a major redevelopment phase that lasted through the 1980s. In the decades that followed, Dr. Roberts used his extraordinary and creative leadership abilities to build a business empire that encompasses television, radio broadcasting, real estate development, plus hotel ownership and management. Today, he is one of America's most successful and respected African-American billion-dollar business leaders. And he's a recipient of numerous awards, such as the 2009 Trump Award for, and not President Trump, no, Trumpet Award for Federal Communications Commission Diversity Committee, U.S. Department of Commerce National Advisory Council on Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and has been selected as a participant in some of our country's most prestigious programs. Citizen Ambassador Program, Securities Delegation to China, 1996, Army War College in 2001, Joint Civilian Orientation Conference for South Africa. He is the first Dean of GODSU, and he's also a mentor to so many people, including myself. We would not be where we are today without this great, great man. And you know what? I had to stop there in his bio because we could keep going on for the next 2 days with his accomplishments. Dr. Roberts, we are so pleased to have you. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fantastic. And Dr. Diane and Dakar, let me just say this. You guys continue to impress the world. There are folks now from coast to coast and outside of our coast here in the United States who are supporting you and listening to you and your training and your teaching. And I can't tell you how proud I am of you and to have been there when you started and to follow that career. And you've allowed for so many people to be honored with their chaplaincy and their doctorates. And it just makes a human feel more important and more valuable to the community and to themselves when we're able to honor them the way you've honored them. And I just think you should continue to do this forever. I'm sure you will. I have no doubt. You also have your legacy with your three behind you, your three beautiful children, all of whom are, the brightest and sharpest kids anyone will ever find anywhere. And that's because of the way you and your husband have uh, poured in the leadership and the commitment back to our community. And this is what we need more parents to do. So once again, thank you for having me on. And I'm so happy to be able to talk about, how legacy can be successfully passed on. Uh, and in order for that to happen, I think we need to speak about, what is legacy, and also uh, what are the types of things those of us who are trying to make a difference are doing and can continue to do, especially under these trying times. This is a very difficult, challenging time for all of us. Um, the COVID-19 has put unusual hurdles and challenges in front of all of us. And when I say all of us, I mean every human being on the face of the earth is facing the potential of being hit by this virus. So, how innovative are we going to be? How creative are we going to be? How do we continue to sustain and grow uh, in the midst of all of this? So these are the challenges we'll be happy to discuss.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And um, you've always been a pioneer, and you've not had many people here in these states that you can that actually mentored you. And so I want to ask you, who are some of the people that you've looked up to? We look up to you, and you have brought us along with you to just various ventures and have expanded us. But who's done that for you? Who's been your mentor?
Well, actually, there weren't quite a few, other than, of course, my parents, who I will have to give first responsibility to making me a guy who, my mom, for example, would go into a store or into a place and would never buy retail. She always would try to negotiate, which I think is in my DNA as well. My dad was worked at the post office for 39 years and was a well-liked, respected guy. When he came out, he joined my brother and I when we were first building our companies. He worked with us and continues to help. He's 97. My mom's 92. They've been married for 73 years and are still hanging in there, driving and doing other things. So from a standpoint of mentorship, obviously, they continue even now to be one that I look to for advice and counsel. Uh, there've been a variety of experiences that have been more mentoring than, an actual person per se.
Right. Yes.
By that, I mean being able to work with a colleague who brought me in as a consultant right out of law school to work within some of his clients, the Fortune 500 companies. His name was Will Smith. He was a lawyer, and Wayman would make sure that I would be a part of the corporate experience. Now, by that process, I learned the corporate language, the big company language, which is a little different than the small businesses. And the more you learn their business and then you get into understanding how the big companies work, you can extrapolate into how you build your company, as well as continuing to look toward how am I to be able to go back to some of these companies as potential clients. So uh, unlike the whole more modern term of mentoring, where it's sort of a person and a person, what I did was I wrote a book, Action Has No Season, and Action Has No Season 2.0, two different books. And I provide the data in there, which is the mentoring data.
Yes.
So therefore, I'm able to mentor literally everyone who reads the book, thousands of people. And it's written in a fashion I mean, you and I are lawyers. You know, we can write big fancy words, and people have to grab the dictionary just to look it up. I recognize the importance of writing it. You know, well, when I was in politics and was an alderman and run for office, whenever we wrote our brochures, you write your brochures about who you are, so a fifth grader will understand it.
Right.
You follow me? It can be deep stuff, but it has to be easy to read and understand, so that anyone can understand it. And I think that any mentor who's worth their salt has to be able to, whether it's in writing, as I've done it, or face to face, they have to be able to come to the level of the person they're talking to and speak to them on that level, but with the more profound result and types of data that you're trying to deploy to that individual. So that's how I kind of define and perceive the concept of mentoring.
Excellent. And I guess because when you were growing up, as you said, you had mentors from afar in terms of the way you got to where you are. But by writing your book now, millions of people all over the world, because as I promised you, I told you we would do, is that we are making it a textbook. And
Yes.
we're going to attach to it a workbook so that people all over the world can order this book from your publishing company and take the course with us, and we can teach us surrogates for you, because I know you travel all over the world. But I want to ask, people have asked me this, why did you name the book Action Has No Season? Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Well, every day when you wake up, you're given 86,400 seconds. That's the number of seconds in the day. And the moment you think of the moment, it's already gone. So therefore, if you're going to do anything or take action, you need to do it immediately. You don't wait for a certain time in the future in a season to take action. There is no season for action. Action is in the now. It's the existential approach. It's more importantly, it's the actionnaire approach. And as you well know, I coined the word the actionnaire, and that's
Yes.
one who takes their ideas, their dreams, their vision, their passion, and they pursue them with courage and confidence and bravado. But you're pursuing them then, not waiting for something to come your way, hopefully, but more importantly, you make the way. You know, in business, I see people sometimes thinking and lamenting and worrying about how their business is going to do against competition. And I tell them, don't you sit there and cry over what will happen potentially with this competition. You make the competition cry about the fact that you are there.
That's right. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Dr. Michael, give us at least one fundamental principle or secret to success that's not being taught in the business schools or in the MBA programs that you believe should be implemented in the school curriculum, and why is that?
Well, I think that if your question, I'm not sure I got it all, but if your question is what should be implemented the most in today's world within our academic setting,
Yes.
I think we have to do that which we can to help people realize that as we move to the next decade and beyond, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics will be taking over, and it's going to create a change.
Yes.
Now, it's pretty fundamental. Change is coming, right?
Yes.
In different ways. The question is, will you allow change to control you, or will you control the change? So I say to students and to anyone moving along in an academic world or outside of that, prepare yourself for the change that's coming. Anybody who has a job today that is repetitive in nature, by 2030, 2035, they will not have a job. 50% of the people who have jobs today will not have them because of automation and robotics. We're going to see big changes there. So the question becomes, how do we embrace that and become the entrepreneur that builds on this future dynamic?
Yes.
That's what I'd like for us to begin to emphasize. academically, you know, not just history, which is fine, but actual hardcore potential business opportunities and look at what is potentially happening, not just potential. I mean, we're seeing autonomic vehicles already. If
Sure.
you have a 2-year-old today, by the time that 2-year-old is 16, they will not drive a car. They will command the car. We're going to have a variety of changes like that that will put us in a different world. And I will tell you that this COVID-19 shift, one that is making us potentially already forced into this futuristic system. Why? How can I say and defend that? Why? Because of what we're doing right now.
Yes.
I mean, normally this would be a face-to-face interview, and
Exactly.
it would be an interview that the class of GODSU would have in a room with each other.
Yes.
But how are we doing it?
It's
So we're
true.
going to have much more of this type of activity, and this is a big paradigm shift. This is shifting as we have been accustomed to the future. And the younger people who are seeing this for the first time, this will be normal for them. You
It's
see?
true.
And so the question becomes, how are we going to even enhance this experience? Will it become one that's going to be more personal in a different type of way? Will you be here in front of me uh, in some kind of a hologram as opposed
Exactly.
to looking at me over the internet? Will I be able to dialogue with you from hologram to hologram? I
Yes.
don't know. But I do believe that they are beginning to take data, thinking data from our minds right now. They're creating our thought process. And in the future, uh, with our great, great, great grandchildren, they'll be able to pull up the hologram of you or I and have a full conversation just to get an idea of what our thinking was like back in 2020. So it's all dynamic, but who's developing these? Who's the innovator? Who's developing these? Who will be making the money on this when it's all said and done? And that's who we have to begin to drive our folks thinking in very creative ways to look at the fact that we are in a digital revolution.
Yes, we are. We are.
And this digital revolution is making the types of changes, such as with the 5G and the telephony side of things. 5G provides a type of data. For example, 4G gives you a certain degree of data. And let's consider that data to be data that can run through a garden hose, like water through a garden hose. 5G will be like a river or
Oh,
canal. It'll be that kind of open space data that will allow for so many things to be communicated between parties.
that's
It's going to
amazing.
be a wild, wonderful, interesting future.
It is. And it's funny because over a decade ago when I sat with you in Atlanta and
Yeah.
I gave you what I thought my vision was, and you put my vision up to another level. And I was thinking of a traditional brick and mortar, and you said online is fine. And the fact that we listened to you, now a lot of the other older, larger institutions now are trying to catch up to us because we've been doing this for a decade after we talked to you. So some of the innovative things that you've come up with is way ahead of other people, and it has prepared us for where we are today. I want to ask, and when I met you, all of my family, my children, my husband, everybody sat down and read Action Has No Season. And now we have Action Has No Season 2.0. What's in Action Has No Season 2.0 that's not in the first book that would get other people ready so they can be a decade ahead the way you have advised us to be?
Well, Action Has No Season 2.0 is a workbook. It will have chapters on how to develop your mindset in business, how to deal with predicaments as a chapter. And after each chapter, I have questions and I leave lines for you to actually write. So you can actually take a test more importantly, it's putting a mirror in front of you to look at yourself. So if I read it, if you read the chapter, you understand it, then I may ask you questions in the book that relate to you, and you then answer in writing right there, if you wish, uh, what you've learned from that chapter and how to do it. But in addition to that, at the end of the book, I put in 2 chapters relating to futuristic thinking.
Good.
I did 1 chapter on blockchain and cryptocurrency and the future of currency as I see it long term. That'll be much more global and universal, if you will. Then I also did a chapter on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics. So between those 2 chapters, I'm pushing the mindset of the reader into this future approach to things. You know, it can be a little spooky for some folks when you talk about, you know, how someday they'll be able to put chips into your body and be able to diagnose your condition. It's going to be interesting to be able to say that if you look at this iPhone or whichever phone you have now, that today you get more data through that phone than NASA had when it sent a man to the moon. It's infinite data. Now, what will happen someday when there's a chip or a wire that can connect right to your brain that can deliver that data right into you so that you have this unlimited data? If you want to know the Bible, you'll be able to have the entire Bible shot right into your brain. I know that sounds a little different, but you'll be able to have infinite knowledge. And you know, we're already being trained with these virtual reality glasses. You've seen those that you put on, and all of a sudden you can maybe you're skiing or skydiving or something. Well, imagine being able to do that by blinking your eyes and seeing it within your mind. So, you know, one day you'll have these medical chips that you'll be able to buy and put them on your mirror, for example, in front of you. And you'll look at that mirror and you'll say, mirror, mirror on the wall, what's wrong with me? And that mirror will be able to do a diagnostic of who you are. Then it will send your diagnostic analysis to RoboDoc. RoboDoc will then in turn do a quantum analysis, bringing all the data from all over the world to match up with you and your DNA. Make a determination of what you need. Then RoboDoc will then send the data to robo-pharmacists, who will then identify the prescription, who will then call the will be able to then fly your through a drone to your house, your medicine. Your local individual robot will pick it up, bring it to you with a glass of water, and then next thing you know, you'll be okay.
Well, I tell you, that's amazing because during the pandemic, my Sudan had a problem, and we did a telemedicine situation because they weren't allowing everybody had to stay in quarantine, and they were able to diagnose what was wrong with her, send it to the pharmacy. The pharmacy got it ready, and the only thing is that we had to go and pick it up. She put it on and she was cured. So they were able to, just based on asking questions and she showing them her hand or wherever was hurting her, they were able to diagnose this and take care of it. So you are not far off at all. You are on the money, absolutely, as you always are. And I wanted to ask you, in terms of the projects, what are there any projects or initiatives that you're working on besides, you know, encouraging and mentoring businesses like myself and other businesses that have been birthed because of your encouragement and because, you know, just reading your book. And so people don't get me wrong. I didn't have this kind of access to Dr. Roberts because I know him. I had this kind of access because I went to a conference that he was the keynote speaker, a 3-day conference called the Power Networking Conference. He was a keynote speaker for the entire time. And I was the first person in line to buy his book, Action is No Season. And I bought many copies, took it back to my family. All of us read it. And he became our mentor from afar, you know, and we kept going to more and more conferences. And everything he said in his book, we did. And he noticed our company because we were doing what he said. And a lot of people, they don't realize that instead of looking up to celebrities who are actors and dancers and singers, unless that's what you want to do, if you want to be a business person, you really have to buy those books, read those books, do exactly what the person says. So because success has footprints. So that's why we have a great man like Dr. Roberts, because we did exactly what he told us to do. So Dr. Roberts, tell us about any other initiatives or projects that you're working on right now.
Well, I think one of the things that we have to do in this era of the COVID virus is how do we pivot within the business that we're involved with, you see? Now, for example, with me, as I sit here, I'm in Detroit at the Roberts Riverwalk Hotel, which has been closed since March. Now the question becomes, what will I do next? How will I approach this?
Yes.
So first, I plan to reopen the hotel, but not all of it, parts of it. And I will have a new protocol that will create a very safe and healthy and sanitized environment for anyone who comes to the hotel, but they will not be able to do, or they won't see it as they normally would. For example, you know, we'll make sure that there's all the touch points that people touch when they go into a hotel: doorknobs, light switches, TV controls, all of that's going to be sanitized by housekeeping. But what we'll do is we'll have the towels and the soap items in a bag that you will receive at the check-in point.
Oh.
And then you'll know what you have that no one else has touched in any way to be secured from that standpoint. We'll eliminate several of the items that are in the room, for example, the coffee makers or the ironing boards, because those are things people touch, and you don't want to follow and touch that. Those are just some of the many protocols that I'm putting in place. I'm also using a part of the hotel to assist with the homeless. There's a small part where I have an agreement with an entity here in Detroit, where they actually take homeless out of the hospital who need a few extra days between being in the hospital. And these are non-COVID patients. These are people who had heart attacks, people who had diabetes issues or whatever they had, but they're not disease problems.
Right.
They bring them here, and we provide a certain number of rooms in a designated wing of the hotel, so that until they could find a nice place for those homeless to live in. And they may not just be homeless like off the street homeless, but maybe they've lost their home, their regular home, as a result of foreclosure, or they couldn't pay the rent. And so the organization I'm working with, they're finding more permanent housing. But I'm allowing for this to be a bridge to help those folks who are in need. A, they're not healthy, to get some healthy again, and B, it puts them in a position where they can relax here on the Detroit River. Anyone who wants to see how beautiful the hotel is, they can just go to DetroitRiverwalkHotel.com, and they can take a quick look just to see just how fabulous this place is, DetroitRiverwalk.com. Now, the other piece of the pivot is looking at the possibility of converting some of the hotel rooms into affordable senior living facility, so that the seniors who have resources, but they're tired of that big house, they're tired of lack of security, they're concerned about what's going to happen if this roof goes bad, and they're living alone in some cases. But they've worked all their lives, they have large pensions that they can afford to live a more luxurious, relaxed life here on the Detroit River. So what I would like to do is convert and dedicate some of the rooms for that purpose. So what am I doing? I'm helping the community, but I'm creating the potential for other streams of income to support the business per se, and it employs people at the same time.
That's amazing.
So I hope that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, I've stayed at your hotel, and it is
Yes.
magnificent. The roof, I mean, the ceiling alone is like you had to look up in the sky to see it. This hotel is so luxurious. We also were able to go on the patio where the river is. We were able to see Canada from his hotel,
Yes.
Canada. And then also the staff there was amazing. The food was fantastic. And we sat on the river and there was a jazz concert. I mean, we were right there in Detroit, sitting on the river, overlooking Canada, and at a jazz concert at this magnificent hotel. And we plan to do a GODSU get together reunion at the hotel. You know, let us
Yes.
know when it's open. As you know, we've done it in Jamaica, but we want to keep it in Detroit. Here at GODSU, we believe in making sure that we keep our money in the community. We try to make our money pass around as many times as possible, 10, 20 times. And so if we want a vacation, we go to the Roberts Riverwalk Hotel. Why would we go to the Hyatt when we have the Roberts Riverwalk Hotel? And it's magnificent, sanitized, clean, beautiful, just luxurious. So we definitely are very proud of the fact also that you're helping the community. You always have. I never forget the time when that gentleman who couldn't get a job, but he was a hard worker, and you had him come back and you had him dressed properly and you actually hired him. You know, those are the types of things that you do.
We have.
You know,
We've hired returning citizens as well.
Yes.
We've given several returning citizens opportunity to, been incarcerated, to develop a skill and to bring them back in. So no, this would be a great place for a GODSU retreat.
Yes.
We'll keep our social distancing. Everybody will wear a mask, of course, and yet we can accomplish that. I mean, it's a new normal, but we can accomplish these things.
We absolutely can. And the fact that you're in Detroit, Motor City. I remember one of the nights that we were there, we were able to go see Jeffrey Osborne and Howard Hewitt and a number of other great singers because we're in Detroit. So it's amazing just the amount of nightlife, as well as at the hotel, you provide entertainment. And as you say, now we're gonna have the social distancing, but we want to support everything that you're doing, Dr. Roberts. You're one of the few people who have reached the billion-dollar status, who you don't look down on others. You're just so accommodating, so laid back. And so we're asking everyone under the power of voice to understand that if you want to build back Black Wall Street, just go right there to Roberts Riverwalk Hotel. That's a start, as well as Dean, His Excellency is available for business consulting. His price is going to be that a little higher because he's done this before. You know, people talk about being a millionaire. His status has been as a billionaire before. So you do have to make sure that you give that proper respect, that proper homage, and ensure that, that when you're talking to him, you realize who you're talking to. You are talking to His Excellency.
I had a wonderful experience in Ghana in December where I was installed as a king.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And that was a king of economic development for the Dakar region of Ghana. And ever since then, we've been pushing technology opportunities in assisting the entire country, really. And as you know, we're also big developers still in the Bahamas.
Yes.
And as the Bahamas begin to relax its situation, for more of us could fly there. I think that's another location that we can go to. Of course, Jamaica is your home, and it's a beautiful place. But we also need a delegation to go to Ghana. We absolutely need to consider the return of the royals, because we are all considered royals in Ghana. And it's just a wonderful experience for us to be able to go back to the motherland and to be able to really feel and understand what it's like to be in an environment that's all Black. I mean, I'm here in Detroit, the only Black-owned hotel, and in the whole city of Detroit, which is obviously a very large Black population. So we need to create a connection with Africa. We need to create a connection within ourselves. And one of the great things about GODSU is one of its mantras to work from an economic standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint.
Absolutely.
And I just think that that's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
I just hope that.
No, I
was going to say, I just hope that next time I'm there for a conference, that Dakar will continue to play on my basketball team and not play against me.
Oh, yes, that's true. Because for those who don't know, whenever we get together for our seminars, for our graduations, Dean, His Excellency, is always the captain of the mentors basketball game. And then the younger guys who are like 30s and under are supposed to be the mentee. But because of who he is, he gets to choose his team. And Dakar is always on his team. And between the two of them, they have monopolized and they always win the game. So Dean Kappa here, His Excellency, always wins the game.
Yeah.
And guess what? This graduation we have coming up, August the 13th to the 15th, is called the Royal Graduation. And you'll be there as a Estul King. And we also have the largest king, our most prominent king of Ghana, will also be there. And that is His Royal Highness, Nana Obekesi Ampa, because he has been one of the top 20 volunteers this week. And he's graduating through GODSU. And the only reason why we got connected to Ghana is because you introduced us to Princess Olive Okansi. And she then connected us with the president of Ghana, who then introduced us through you again, His Excellency, Dr. Bafor Ajabewa. So you can see how your position here at GODSU has taken us globally. And just following and reading your book, as well as just following and reading your example, is where we are today, is because of you. So we're so appreciative, and we want to ask you if anyone wants to get your book, or anyone wants to hire you as a consultant for their country, because I know presidents and kings and prime ministers have had consultation with you. How can they reach you?
My email address, even my phone number, and set that up as a way to contact us with our various bio background. I would prefer that if you're going to buy my book, to try to find a Black bookstore, and then they would get it online. If you can't do that, then go to Amazon.com and type in Michael B. Roberts. Action Has No Season 2.0, and you'll be able to pull it up right there and buy it right off of the Amazon network. So that's pretty much the only way to do it in today's world. That's the best way to do it, the fastest way. And it's on Kindle too, so you can download it if you wish. And
everybody in here has their own copy, the first one and the second one. And as I said, we're doing a class that will be Action Has No Season 2.0, and they will have to get that as the workbook, and the class will be on Tuesdays or Thursdays. We haven't decided. Right now we have 4 classes going on Thursday evenings, so it might be on a Tuesday evening. We will let you know.
Well, let me add one thing, and I need to thank you also for letting my daughter speak at one of our last graduations. She was very happy to have done that, Megan, and she's written several other documents and position papers. She continues. The original title was going to be Action Has No Season, Roman numeral 2. It was you who said, no, you have to call it 2.0. So I have to give you credit for helping me in the naming of that title. It was you who did that. And I listen carefully to you because you too are a mentor and have been helpful in framing it, the thinking and the thought process of me as well as many others. Well.
Oh, but it's my pleasure, it's my honor, and you know how much I truly love you, Dr. Michael. So thank you so, so much for being here, being our mentor, and whatever we can do to ensure that others follow in your footsteps, that's what we're going to do.
Widely acclaimed as one of America's leading and most influential businessmen, Dr. Michael V. Roberts Sr. returns with his innovative follow-up to the international bestseller, Action Has No Season: Strategies and Secrets to Gaining Wealth and Authority. We are happy to share that Dr. Michael V. Roberts will be teaching this 4-week live course called Action Has No Season 2.0 live as part of the Global Ovid Day Seminary and University GODSU e-learning courses and curriculum, along with myself, Her Excellency Moore-Eubanks, Global Correspondent for GODSU and internationally certified leadership coach on October 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th, 2020. About GODSU. GODSU is a 501c3 interfaith e-learning global institution with corporate offices in Miramar, Florida. GODSU is a Florida Department of Education Commission of Independent Studies approved degree issuing religious institution of higher learning under Florida Statute 1005.061F. Dr. Michael V. Roberts is one of the first Black U.S. billion-dollar builder multimillionaires and is also the first appointed dean of GODSU. Action Has No Season 2.0 will be the first GODSU course that he is teaching live, and he will share how to become an actionaire, a term that he covered in the first edition of Action Has No Season. Included in the 4-week live course will be lessons and strategies that will empower entrepreneurs of all ages. This course will challenge participants to change their mindsets, to confront cycles and excuses that show up in life. Individuals who endorse Action Has No Season 2.0 include Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, Senior Pastor of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, Chancellor Reverend Dr. Diane Moore-Eubanks of Global Ovid Day Seminary and University, and Dr. George Frazier, founder of Power Networking Conference and Frazier Nation. This once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be taught live by the industry expert and entrepreneur Dr. Michael V. Roberts is only $333, which includes lectures and textbook. In order to enroll in the course, here are the payment methods for the Action Has No Season 2.0 course and textbook. Number 1, Cash App 301-326-3191 and PayPal using the nonprofit portal honors@godsu.org. Once you order, please include your mailing address for the GODSU Fulfillment Center, mail your textbook. You don't want to miss this on October 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th, 2020. Now back to our co-host.
So we're going to go into
our outstanding workers. Spokesperson for GODSU, Ambassador, His Excellency Dr. Dakar Chaplain, Ambassador of Ghana to the USA. Can you please give us a brief introduction and how we can get in contact with you and the embassy?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. The embassy is in Washington, D.C. on International Drive, and we are very accessible. If it's a matter of landmark, we are between Bangladesh and the Israeli embassy. So we are very easy to find. I'm taking the opportunity to welcome all of you to Ghana. If you haven't visited yet, I think you should, because we more or less sit in the center of the earth. And therefore, when the good Lord was doing the business, he was standing on Ghanaian soil. You remember last year was the year of return. where we were trying to honor all those people who left our shores involuntarily, came into this country, had to deal with a language they never heard of, and yet they mastered it enough to write books and sonnets and whatnot. They didn't have much of an education, and the education they tried to provide for themselves was nothing to write home about. But then, again, they became scientists and inventors and whatnot. And in fact, most of them have contributed to the culture of America as it is today. And therefore, we're only asking that they can visit the homes that their ancestors left, see what is available, take a decision whether they would want to get involved. But we would want them to get involved, because for us, we've always considered African Americans as brothers and sisters. So for Ghana, we consider it your home. And home is where you go and they have to take you in. So our doors are open. You might probably recall that in the course of last year, about over 200 African Americans were given Ghanaian citizenship in an open ceremony and such. We do believe that we have a little gem of a country, and we are encouraging everybody to come and put a certain kind of economic stake in it. Those people who came there earlier and made it, we didn't invite them. They just came and took what they wanted. This time, we are inviting you, and we are inviting you as kinsmen. So if the others who were not related and all that came in and made good, there is absolutely no reason why you cannot come and also make good. We need a certain kind of partnership. Whichever way we look at it, wherever we are, people see us first through our pigmentation. And I'm quite sure that that in itself is something, to stand by. And I can guarantee you that those of you who are African Americans, those of us who are Africans from wherever, we haven't significantly had an objection to being called Black. Now that in itself is a binding wire. We should exploit it. Come to Ghana. I'm quite sure you will love it. And I'm quite sure that it will be good for our relationship across the pond, and also for a fair investment, for a fair return. It will be economically a wonderful exchange between African Americans and Ghanaians. Come to Ghana, you'll love it. Am I okay?
You're wonderful. It's great to see you, Ambassador.
It's good to see you. These days, this thing hanging on the necks of all of us makes it very difficult even to make a move.
I know. I miss you so much. So what we're going to do, because normally we do our residency part of our graduation with you at the Ghanaian Embassy, we're going to do it virtually. So we're excited to see you again through the phone August 14th, but know that we love you and know that we miss you, and that we will be in touch telephonically as well as video. So thank you so much for your time, Ambassador, and thank you for being a volunteer. You've been a study volunteer for GODSU for years. You've traveled with us all over the country, from all over the world, and so we appreciate you, and we love you, we honor you. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, it has been my privilege and my pleasure. Thank you very much for making that possible.
Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Okay. You take care.
We will.
Thank you, Ambassador. Followed by an embassy host for GODSU, Minister Dr. Jane Addams, who's the interim DC representative for the Nigerian government to the US. Dr. Jane Addams, can you please give us a brief introduction and how we can get in contact with you in the embassy?
Good afternoon, and thanks so much, Dr. Diane, and His Excellency Dakar, and everyone present here. It's a great opportunity to meet you and to talk to you. My name is Dr. Jane Adams. I happen to be one of the GODSU alumni, and I owe my appreciation, most especially to God Almighty and to Dr. Diane, who has been a mother to us, a very wonderful person. And, you know, sometimes in life, God guides you and brings you in contact with what we call helpers of destiny. And Dr. Diane happens to be one of those helpers of destiny that God brought me in contact with. And I'm really grateful to God. And also Professor Odu. By his special grace, I happen to be one of the staff, one of the diplomats working in the Embassy of Nigeria, Washington, D.C. I am the acting deputy head of mission, in the diplomatic circle in the United States, the position is the position actually for an ambassador who is the second ambassador in the embassy and is referred to as the deputy chief of mission according to the diplomatic protocol. But in the absence of a nominated ambassador and who has actually retired, so I'm acting in that office as the acting deputy chief of mission. So I'm thankful for this opportunity to be a part and parcel and a family of GODSU because we've come a long way, and I'm also thankful to God for what I have learned so much from GODSU, the spirit of oneness, the spirit of love, the spirit of understanding and reaching out, and so many things that has been able to effect a change, not just in my life, but the people around me, to reach out to people positively. That is what I have learned from GODSU. I remember the day I graduated, it was really wonderful. I wept, you know, in my heart I wept because I didn't expect it, but it happened. And I mean, for God to bring you this far, you have to be thankful to Him and to be able to reach out to people. And given the situation, I wouldn't call it situation, passing time, because I know it will soon pass, of this pandemic, it has also helped us to reach out. Each time I refer to my notes on chaplaincy, it has helped me to reach out to a lot of people, to tell them, to encourage them that it's not going to be the same. I have been able to reach out to people to encourage them that irrespective of what you're going through now, God tells us that He has the best for us. And the best for us is because it's going to bring us to an expected end. And what is that expected end? The end of hope, the end of a jubilation, that this COVID will not remain with us, but it will pass over. And for us to pray for the scientists to come up with something that will help humanity. And we're all here to serve humanity. And I tell people the same thing, just like government ambassadors. We are ambassadors of Christ because God has chosen us to serve humanity. The government has chosen us to also serve humanity. So we play as the human ambassadors, but we are spiritual ambassadors when it comes to God. So I really, really want to seize the opportunity to also thank and appreciate the family of GODSU alumni. They've been exceptional. For me, that's how I say it, because there are times in life you may not have an opportunity to meet such people who can bring you out, who can present you and make you become global. And that is what GODSU alumni has done for me. Because sometimes people may not really know who you are. I wouldn't have met all of you here if they didn't give me the opportunity. And I want everybody to be thankful and appreciated. So I'm really thankful, Mom. You've been a mother to me. God bless you. Thank you so much. And in the course of my career, it has been wonderful working as acting deputy head of mission to assist the ambassador in carrying out the activities of government. You know, the government's day-to-day activity, to be able to influence positively issues that has to do with your country and where you find yourself, that is the host community. And that's what we're doing, you know, in terms of consular activities, reaching out in terms of, although right now, given the pandemic, we've slowed down, we're actually having skeletal activities in the office. We have rotational sessions. We still have like 17% who are still working remotely from home. It hasn't actually stopped us from working. We're working remotely from our homes. We're still communicating with our government, and we're doing our best to also, for every ambassador, for every diplomat, the interest of your government is paramount in that particular state where you find yourself.
Yeah.
So the interest of Nigeria is paramount to us in the United States, where it's really a thing of joy that I'm able to talk to very important people here who are also my brothers and my sisters. So thank you so much, Dr. Diane. Thank you, Dakar, for this opportunity you have given to me. I'm grateful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jane Addams. And it's wonderful to see a woman sitting in the ambassadorial seat of Nigeria, even if it's as interim. And so we are so pleased that you're an alum. We're so pleased that you've opened up the Embassy of Nigeria every time that we've needed to come there as part of our graduation. So we thank you so much. And we're so excited that on August the 14th, we're going to do this again with you in the embassy. And so we thank you for your time. God bless you, and we love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have helping with proclamations, Mayor Wayne Messam, who is the mayor of Miramar, Florida. And we have helping with speaking opportunity, we have King Nana Chaplain, founder and president of Co-M.C University of Excellence and CEO for a Year of Return Legacy Project. And we have helping with entrepreneurial encouragement, Dean His Excellency Dr. Michael V. Roberts, Chaplain, CEO, Roberts Riverwalk Hotel, and author of Action Has No Season 2.0. Can you please give us a brief introduction and how we can get in contact with you?
Hello, everyone. It is my email address is rramvrsr@aol.com. That's an old school AOL. I'll repeat it, rramvrsr@aol.com. And that's the best way to reach out to me as well. So it is a pleasure to see our other guests who are online here. And we just had a wonderful 35 or 40 minutes of dialogue. So I'm very happy to hear from everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have spokesperson for GODSU, Director, Her Excellency Cairo Dr. Eubanks, UNCSR, CLC, CEC, Chaplain, CEO, Cairo Speaks. And we have myself helping with marketing for GODSU, Director, His Excellency Dakar Eubanks, Chaplain, CEO, Dakar Marketing Tools. And I help you with graphic design. We also do video editing and photo editing. Next up, we have helping with logistics. We have board member, His Excellency Dr. Jerome Span Chaplain, who is CEO, Span at Your Service. And we have helping with social media consultancy, Junior Ambassador Sudan Eubanks, CEO Sudan Dolls, and CEO Sudan E-Consultancy. The rest actually help with administrative work. Vice Chancellor, His Excellency Dr. Willis Eubanks Chaplain, CEO Global Alliance Technical Services. And we have Vice Provost, His Excellency Reverend Dr. Joseph Hickman Chaplain, founder JH Global Consultancy.
It's my delight to be a part of this significant organization. I am His Excellency Reverend Dr. Joseph Hickman, Vice Provost here at Global Ovid Day Seminary and University. And with my wife, we manage JH Global Consultancy, where we provide bulk protection of PPEs to our first responders, We also do strategic planning, development funding, and cybersecurity. And we also provide leadership to the dean. I'm the dean of the Ordination Council and Christian Chaplaincy Program. Be encouraged and stay powerful. We are a